I was holding a piece of paper worth $5 million in my trembling hand, ready to tell my husband that our days of struggling were finally over. But as I stood outside our bedroom door, the words I heard him whisper into his phone didn't just break my heart. They turned my newfound fortune into a weapon of cold, calculated revenge. Valera was a woman who had grown used to the quiet hum of a modest life. For 7 years, she and her husband, Mark, had lived in a cycle of just enough. Just enough money for rent, just enough for groceries, and just enough love to keep things from falling apart. Or so she thought. That Tuesday started like any other. Valera stopped at a convenience store for a sandwich and on a whim bought a lottery ticket. When she checked the numbers at her desk later that afternoon, the world blurred. She hadn't just won a prize, she had won $5 million. Her first instinct was Mark. She imagined his face, the relief, the joy, the end of his constant complaining about his dead-end job. She left work 2 hours early, clutching the ticket like a sacred relic. She wanted to surprise him. She wanted to be his hero. When she arrived home, she noticed Mark's car in the driveway. He was supposed to be at the office. Thinking he might be sick, she let herself in quietly. But as she approached the living room, she heard his voice. He was on the phone, laughing. "I'm telling you, Sarah, it's almost over," Mark said, his tone dripping with a coldness Valera had never heard. "I've already spoken to the lawyer. I'm just waiting for the right moment to serve her the papers. I've been playing the part of the dutiful husband long enough. Once the divorce is final and I get my share of the house, we can finally start our life together." Valera froze. The $5 million ticket in her hand felt suddenly heavy. The man she wanted to save was already planning his escape, and he was planning to take half of what little she had left. In that moment, something in Valera snapped. The tears stayed behind her eyes, replaced by a chilling clarity. If she walked in now and showed him the ticket, he would stay not for her but for the money. And legally, as her husband, he would be entitled to half of it. She backed away, slipped out the front door, and sat in her car until her heart stopped racing. She wouldn't be the victim. Over the next few weeks, Valera became a master of disguise. She acted the part of the loving, unsuspecting wife. She cooked his favorite meals and listened to his lies about working late. Meanwhile, she met with a top-tier lawyer in secret. Because she had won the money before the divorce was filed, but hadn't deposited it into a joint account or commingled the assets, her lawyer found a way to shield the winnings. Valera signed the ticket and placed it in a private safety deposit box that Mark didn't know existed. The climax came a month later in a cold, sterile conference room. Mark sat across from her, flanked by his lawyer, looking smug. He had filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, and was demanding half of their savings and the equity in their home. "I think we should just settle this quickly, Valera," Mark said, feigning sympathy. "It's better for both of us." Valera's lawyer smiled thinly. "We agree, but before we finalize the assets, there is a matter of full disclosure. My client would like to present a document." He slid a photocopy of the lottery ticket and the validation receipt across the table. Mark's eyes widened as he read the numbers. $5 million. You won," Mark stammered, his face turning a ghostly pale. "Valera, honey, why didn't you tell me? We don't have to do this. We can fix us." Valera looked him straight in the eye, her voice steady and calm. "I came home early to tell you, Mark. That Tuesday, I stood outside the door and heard you talking to Sarah. I heard you planning how to leave me and take my house." The room went silent. Mark's lawyer looked at the floor. "The winnings are in a private trust," Valera's lawyer added. "And since the intent to divorce was established by the husband prior to the discovery of the funds, and documented by my client's testimony and your own phone records, we will be fighting any claim you make to this marital asset." Mark left that room with nothing but his clothes and his car. Valera walked out into the sunlight, $5 million richer, but more importantly, free from a man who never deserved her. The lottery gave her the money, but the betrayal gave her the strength to realize she was worth more than a jackpot. She was finally starting her life, and this time, she was the only one holding the ticket.